Thank you for joining me once again in this little series that I'm doing on this channel. I know it sounds like I'm telling you guys my life story, but there's more to my story than just this stuff that I'm talking about. My intention is to just chronicle the most traumatic things that I have gone through so that when I am going into further detail about my actual like the side effects, the things that have stuck with me since then that affect me now, it will make sense. Because if I just randomly start talking about, oh, I have anxiety, and then these things trigger me because of my childhood, it's too vague for people to really truly understand how these things happen. Like, what is the cause that creates the effect? So that when we get to those videos where we're focusing mostly on the mental health part of things, it will just make a lot more sense for you guys to have a backstory. For those of you that are following this from the beginning, it will make more sense. You will know what context I'm coming from when I'm giving you guys the information that I'm sharing later. I was discussing my first encounter with Noor, my mom's boyfriend at that time, when he convinced my mother to let him take me and my sister to New York with him from Massachusetts for summer vacation, which turned out to actually just be a move to New York. For her, there were financial reasons why she needed to move there in order to care for us better and for a better opportunity, and I totally understand that. I don't understand why she sent us there alone with this fucking guy who turned out to be a child molester. And then when we told her about it, she was in denial. She didn't want to believe that it was happening. She thought that we were exaggerating things. I'm not gonna go in any particular order. I'm not going to give you like a day by day synopsis of everything that was going on at that time, but I can give you some examples of things that we had gone through, and maybe that will help some of you to relate or to figure out if you have seen these things in your own life with people that you know or yourself. And if you recognize any of the stuff that I'm talking about, if it's triggering any memories for you, then that should be some confirmation that they are red flags. First of all, Nora treated me specifically like I was his side bitch. Like, he came at me like me and him were in a relationship together, but we weren't. And at that time when I was a kid, I didn't understand that that's what he was doing. I just had this nasty feeling about him. As an adult, and especially having gone through many counseling sessions with my husband, analyzing, evaluating the things that have happened to us during that time, I'm realizing that that is exactly what he was doing. He was treating me like I was his girlfriend and coming at me like that, but I wasn't reciprocating it. He was emotionally and mentally very abusive towards us, very controlling. He insisted that we wear the kind of clothes that he wanted us to wear. When I was in Brooklyn was when I started going to a school called Ditmas, IS 62, and shout out to my homies from school, or if you guys are familiar with that school, that was probably my favorite school that I had ever gone to, because they had a very, very extensive performing arts program at that school, and me and my sister were enrolled in that program, and I mean, it was on point. And that's actually the school that I started learning French in. I didn't want to, but I was forced to. And it just so happened that Noor was fluent in French. I wanted to take Spanish, which he was also fluent in, but I ended up taking French. And so he would help me with my French homework and help me to learn how to pronounce the words more accurately. So I actually excelled in French class, even though I hated French for some reason. The kinds of things he would do would be like, he would follow me to school. He would walk 2 blocks behind me and watch me, stalk me while I was going to school, so that he could see if I was talking to boys. And I remember one time he actually flipped the hell out. He caught up to me, ran up to me, and started flipping out about me talking to one of the boys in my class. And I'm telling you, this kid, he was not even nothing to even be threatened by. This kid was a skinny, lanky, Haitian kid with a big head, a disproportionate body. He was just mad funny looking. So if anything, I was offended, because I was like, you think I would be running around here trying to sneak a date with this guy? Ew, like what the hell kind of standards do you think I have? I'm good, right? The boys I actually thought were cute and like had crushes on, they didn't even know I existed. So I just felt like, oh my god, you're gonna embarrass me in front of all my friends like this? Like run up on me at school? Why would you do that? You know, and people thought he was my uncle because that's what my mother would make us tell people that he was. I don't know why she didn't want to just like keep it real and just say he was her boyfriend, but whatever, I have to do what my mom tells me to do. So we would always present him to be our uncle, right? Yeah, he ran up on me and made a big embarrassing scene outside the school, to the point where I think teachers had to come out and like break it up or like figure out what was going on. And he was just adamant that I was talking to boys and he didn't want me to, and it was against our family rules or something, and was just so in the right. Like he just thought he was so in the right with that behavior. Another thing he would do is he would go to the school, lurk outside the school, and when he would see classmates of mine, he would talk to them and ask them questions about me and try to like get information from my classmates about what I was up to at school, which was nothing because I was a good kid. Like I was an artsy kid. All I cared about was like making songs, music, playing piano, freaking acting, writing poetry. I got into poetry at this age. That's all I ever was doing. Like we weren't doing anything for him to be acting like we were these bad kids. After school, I hated going home. So I would hang out on the school grounds, or I would go to my sister's school, which at that time she was still in elementary school in 5th grade. So me and her would go walk over to her school that had a playground, and we would just chill there like for hours if we could get away with it until it got dark, and dread going in the house because when we went home it was constant bickering, fighting, arguing, and then having to deal with him trying to molest us in between my mom being around. Like when my mom wasn't around, he was constantly trying to molest us. He was able to turn my sister and my mother against me by telling them lies about me. And when they were alone with him, he would basically come at them like, she's jealous of our great relationship. She can't accept that I'm the new dad figure now. So she's trying to break everything up and cause all this commotion and mayhem. And the way that we're going to stop her from doing that is to punish her with silence. Give her the silent treatment. Like that was his tactic. And it worked. My mother would treat me like I was this burden that was like causing all this friction in the house. And then my sister, because she was scared, which I didn't know at that time that he was doing with her, he was actually blackmailing my sister. He would tell her things like, I know deep down you like what I'm doing. You like the way this feels. I can tell. Even though you're not saying that you like it, I know in your heart you do. I'll tell your mother that you wanted me to do this stuff and you'll get in trouble because you're too young to be having any kind of sexual activity or thoughts. If you want to see what's going to happen to you because you're, having these grown woman feelings, then embarrass yourself by trying to tell and say that I'm doing something to you don't really want. That was the gist of what he was saying to my sister. She thought that what he was saying was true. She had all these mixed emotions and feelings she didn't know how to process and deal with, that she felt she had to protect herself. It was easy for her to believe that because my mom was living up to that. Like when I would tell and be like, he's doing this, he's doing that to me, my mother would flip out on me and I would be the one that would get grounded and be in trouble, and my sister would see it and she wouldn't back me up. So I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, say what's going on. You know what's going on. And I'd be like, isn't it happening? Isn't that for real? Didn't he do this to you too? She would just stay quiet. She wouldn't say a word. So my mother thought that it's just me starting problems, and at the same time, because he's telling my mom, oh, she's the troublemaker, you can't trust her. It was like everyone was being lied to and manipulated by this person. I didn't believe a word he said. But the more I fought, the more I argued, the worse consequences would be rained down on me because I'm the real threat to the household. There was an incident where he had purchased me a Walkman that he insisted that I buy. I didn't ask him for it. He would like do stuff like this. He would buy us presents and like insist that we get them, take them, accept them. He would like take us on a shopping spree and just buy us a bunch of tight clothes that I think he wanted to see us wearing around the house. But he would act like he was trying to buy us school clothes. And in my culture, when someone offers you something, you just take it. Even if you don't really need that thing or you didn't ask for it, you still just accept it and say thank you, because if you don't, then it's a sign to the other person that offered you that thing that, like, you're too good for their charity. Like, you're not desperate enough to need anything. So when you really need help, they're less inclined to help you because they figure they're gonna just offend you by offering help. I was trained to accept gifts. Now you can listen to all these little tapes, because I used to record cassette tapes a lot off the radio. And now I could carry my tapes around with me and listen to them outside the house. And one day I get home from school. I don't know what I was doing. I was only me in the house with him. And he was like, let me see your Walkman real quick. Looking all through my book bag for it, and I can't find it. I'm like, I could have sworn it was in here. I don't know where it is. And he's like, what do you mean you don't know where it is? I spent good money on that Walkman for you, and you don't know where your Walkman is? You're not keeping track of your things? I don't fucking know where it is. Like, I'm looking everywhere for it. This is where I last put it. I would not put it anywhere else. Then he starts accusing me of letting boys at school hold my Walkman because I have a boyfriend, and I'm like keeping it some secret, and that's why I don't have the Walkman in my bag. And he was like calling me all type of names, saying I'm being a slut and a whore, acting like he was really genuinely pissed, like angry. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, are you nuts? That's not what happened. I don't know where this thing is. I don't know. I'm like, I don't fucking know. So I just start freaking out. I'm like, I don't know where it is. And I'm like yelling at him, like, I don't know where it is. Like, what? I don't know. You probably did something with it. And he's like, what? I probably did something. What are you talking? What are you accusing me of? I'm like, why are you suddenly looking for my Walkman? Like, you never have no concern for this Walkman. Now you want to know where it is? Why? It's just too convenient. So what are you up to? He was like, how dare you? I can't believe you would say such a thing. Whack! Right across my face. He just slapped the shit out of me, right? I was enraged. Like, that nigga, I was done. I think I just ran out of the house and like went down to the park or something. Like, I got out of the house. I didn't want to be alone with him in the house. My sister still had, she hadn't gotten home yet. So I went down to my sister's school and probably met up with my sister. Like, the rest of that day is kind of a blur because I don't remember anything other than the shock of him slapping me. But I did, when I got home, tell on him. I told my mom, I was like, yo, this nigga slapped the shit out of me after he claimed that I had done something with my Walkman. I don't know where it is. What the fuck? Like, he just hit me for nothing. Like, can you believe he did that? You think she did something about it? No, she didn't do shit. Like, I feel like maybe he probably already told her, like, she's gonna say I hit her when I didn't, but she was gone. Like, she was brainwashed completely. So, she didn't do anything about it. I think she scolded me and said I was making up a story or something like that. And I was like, fuck these niggas, I ain't talking to them. So I just stopped talking to my mom. I stopped talking to him. I think I stopped talking to my sister too when we were in the house. But like, when we were out of the house, I would talk to her and I'd hang out with her. But at home, I didn't talk to my sister. And that was mostly to keep her out of trouble. It wasn't so much that I was angry at my sister. It's because it felt like I was the target, and anybody seemed like they were siding with me, they would incur some type of wrath. So I didn't want my sister to be put in that situation. Now, the crazy thing is, after this happened and we were moving, I think, from that place, we had to unpack we had to pack all of our things up. When you walked into the studio apartment, you had to pass this narrow walkway to get into the rest of the apartment. But it's all one room, so you can see everything from every part of the room. But there was a couch that had been pushed up against the wall there, and then like a china cabinet that the couch itself was pushed up against, so you couldn't open the dresser drawers or whatever from the cabinet. It was just there. And I slept on that couch because that was the only way I felt like I was separated from the rest of the household. And I didn't have to look at them. They couldn't really see me from the angle that I was laying in over there. So I felt like I had a little bit of privacy. And he always was like staring at me out of the corner of his eye. So I felt very violated. And I didn't like being in his like visual space. So I would lay over there. The couch ended up being moved so that we could get to the cabinet itself. And what do I find in the cabinet? My Walkman. How did it get in that cabinet? How did the couch get pushed up against the cabinet? I'm a 12-year-old girl. I'm not in the habit of moving furniture. This motherfucker Are you fucking kidding me? I was so just like speechless. I grabbed that thing and I was waving it all around the house like, look at this shit. Look at this fucking asshole. He fucking slapped me over this shit that he hid. He knew that this thing was in there the whole time he set me up. What kind of person in their right mind would do such a thing? Like, this is the type of stuff you hear about in movies. Who does this? Who thinks to do this to a kid? And I don't even know for what. Like, what was the outcome he was trying to get out of that? Did he think that he was gonna be able to like threaten me into like doing something sexual with him because I lost his Walkman? Maybe that's what he thought, but he didn't get that reaction out of me because I was flipping the fuck out on him. I was yelling and screaming at him, and I don't think he expected that. So that's probably why he slapped me, right? Oh, what an ass. And I also remember when we were living at that apartment calling the police because he had done something. I don't know what he did, but he did so many things. It's like, what reason do you need, you know? And I remember police showing up, and we were downstairs outside the building because we lived on like the 17th floor of this apartment building. Me trying to explain to the cops, this man is touching me and my sister. He's abusive. He's an abuser. I don't feel safe. Like, I was trying to ask them for help. One of the officers pulled him to the side to talk to him, and I could hear him throwing on his charm. He was very educated. He was a college grad, and he was working in computer something, like coding or something, when back then there was no internet, there was none of that stuff. So if you worked with computers, like, you were a genius. He really just flashed his credentials at these guys and was basically coming at them like how my dad did with my mom when she was trying to ask people for help. They're crazy. This woman is crazy. She's like, you know, she just lost her kids to foster care. They just came back. She's a mental patient. I'm trying to look out for them. I'm like their caretaker. And the daughter has behavioral problems. You know, these kids are fucked up in the head. They're crazy kids from the system. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's just flipping out because she can't get her way. She's just a spoiled little girl. Nothing's going on. It's not that serious. Sorry to waste your time, officers. Like, he was really coming at them like that, and they fell for it. They didn't question him. They didn't take a report. They didn't ask us, do we want to go down to the police station? They didn't say shit to us after that. They just, okay, and then left. Wow, so that taught me a lesson that you can't trust the police. They're not going to help you. They're not going to do shit. Nothing happened. So for those of you who are like, well, why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you run away? Yeah, I tried, but that didn't fucking work. And then I was just like, wow, Mom, you didn't believe me. But look, here's the proof, bitch. And I think at that point, there was a turning point in my mom's mind where she was like, yeah, he can't really be trusted, because he was also doing things to my mother. She wasn't telling us about it, but I found out later. He would go on rides with her to places, then pick a fight with her and say that she was like looking at other men or something like that, or that she's dressing too sexy, she has too much makeup on. Those of you who are familiar with me already from my doll channel, you know I be posting pictures of my family members and stuff. My mother was a dime piece back in the day. That's how he met her looking. So it's like, why are you trying to change her up? That's her. You knew that about her when you met. She wasn't looking promiscuous. She just was put together, and he would be like, oh, you have too much makeup on. Coming outside looking like a whore bag. He would do things like that, pick a fight with her, and then she would, of course, argue back with him because that's her personality. Then he would literally just stop the car on the highway, push her out the door, and then drive off. In the middle of nowhere. Like, she don't know where the hell she's at. No cell phones back then. You know what I'm saying? She's wearing heels and like a skirt. Like, she's in clothes that it's not clothes that you would be walking around someplace in. It's not hiking gear. And he just leave her on the side of the road like that. I think she was so helpless and ashamed she didn't tell us about that stuff when it was happening. She told me that there were times that he actually tried to choke her. Weird, like, sexual things that he would try to do to her or with her. Like, I think she said that he would try to, like, get her to, like, stick her finger in his anus or something like that. Like, some gay stuff that she was very uncomfortable with. This was before being gay was, like, totally acceptable like it is now. Like, you could just walk up to somebody and be like, ew, you look gay. And, like, that was enough of a diss that the person would be completely embarrassed if you said that back then. So for him to do that with my mother, like, that was a complete taboo. That was like, what the fuck? That would be like, you know, hey, let's go dissect the baby today. Like, that was the equivalent of that to her. I didn't get over what happened. I got over my own sense of, I have to hide it. I'm ashamed. People can't know about this. You know, it says something about me that it happened. I'm over that completely. I don't blame myself or my sister or even my mother for a lot of these things. I do blame my mom when it comes to not doing enough to assure us that she believed us. I feel like even if she couldn't get us out of the situation right then, I needed her to confirm she believed me. I needed her to reassure us that she would work on trying to get us out of that situation. I needed her to support us that we weren't lying, but she wouldn't do those things. That is my issue with my mom. That is the reason why I have no trust for my mom when it comes to her judgment of characters, or like people's character, or her decision making ability. I don't have any faith in my mother's ability to do those things to this day, and that is the reason why. And that's why, again, like I said, like I have a lot of hangups from back then that affects me now as an adult, that I should not be feeling these feelings towards my mother or other people, but I do. And it comes from this life that I had to escape in order to get here where I'm making a video talking about this stuff. He was just doing a lot of stuff to my mother and confusing the hell out of her mentally and financially abusing her, in the sense that he was controlling her finances. She could not survive without him. She needed him to help her to feed me and my sister. She didn't have a whole bunch of benefits. She didn't have food stamps. She didn't have anything. She didn't have a job. Like, she didn't have a way of caring for herself and 2 children without the help of someone. Not even that she needed a man, she needed a person who was financially stable enough to help her to stay afloat, because she was like living the life of a refugee at that time. Because he didn't physically like have sex with me. That's not what he did. I don't know for sure if he did or didn't with my sister, because she never confirmed with me in detail, and I never asked her if he had. Like, I never asked her, because if he did do that to her, I didn't want her to be further triggered and feel ashamed when she realized that he didn't do that to me, because I really do feel like he did worse things to my sister than me. And I pray that she is emotionally like strong enough now to talk about this stuff, because I do want to talk to her about it and like ask her about her experience, just for therapeutic reasons. But at the last time that I had spoken to my sister about this stuff, which was a few years ago, I don't remember her getting into much detail about these things, other than that incident I told you about where he was like threatening her and saying that my mom would blame her somehow if she found out. Yeah, and he had a way of like twisting and manipulating our reactions to things into making it seem like we liked the stuff that he was doing to us, and our jealousy that him and my mom were together was like making us cause problems and act like we're doing stuff against our will. What a sick human being he is. He has sick mentality. The kinds of things I would like that he would do, for example, he told me a story about how him and one of the little boys that were the child of a Muslim family that he was friends with in the neighborhood. He called that family like his cousins, but I know they're not related to him. Oftentimes the boys from that household would hang out with him alone, because they trusted him, because he was one of them. And he told me stories where he would basically talk the boy into going to the bathroom with him to like pee or something. While they were in the bathroom, he would show the boy his penis, and then like try to be like comparing his penis to the little boy's, to be like, oh, yours is gonna look like this when you grow up. You want to see what a grown man's dick looks like? Almost like he was trying to give him like an educational health class course. But really it was just his excuse to look at his penis. Who does that with a kid that's not related to them? That's gross. Like, even a kid that is related to you, I feel like you'd be so cautious about the way that you're approaching this child's body parts. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen my son naked and he's like 14. I'm not seeing him naked because I'm like, hey, you want to see my body parts? I'll show you mine if you show me yours. That's not what it is. It's like times when my son has really bad eczema, so there's times he can't even take a shower properly because he's so afraid of the water hitting his skin and it burning. Like, the sensation of the water on his skin hurting him makes him scared. So when he has these horrible outbreaks, sometimes I have to go in the bathroom with him and like walk him through verbally the parts of his body he needs to wash, parts he can't see. Like, I'll be like, there's a patch on your back here that you need to wash. When he's really bad, like, I have to wash him for him. Like, he'll get eczema patches here in his arm here where it folds, and then it's hard for him to move his arms around to like wash himself. Oh, I feel so bad for him when he's in that situation. So I'll try to like scrub him for him. And my arms are his arms while he's in the shower. And I mean, think about that. At 14 years old, 13 years old, the fact that your health condition is at a level where you have to literally tell yourself, like, I need my parent to help me wash my body. What's that like for the kid that's happening to? It's distressing to make you uncomfortable. But I just make sure that he feels safe. He just feels like he knows, like, this is my mom trying to help me. And that's a kid I'm related to. And I'm being so cautious, trying to make sure he doesn't feel uncomfortable. Like, yeah, so he told me the story that he was doing this with this child. And I don't know what the hell he thought I was going to think. Like, oh, that's funny. That's interesting. No, I was disgusted. I'm like, you did what? To who? Why? Like, I know that kid. Oh, before I moved to the couch that was out of everybody's like vision, I would sleep on that one single mattress that he had that was like a twin size bed, and I would sleep with a blanket over my head and a little hole open so my nose I could get like fresh air, so I wasn't breathing in the hot air under the blanket. That's how I would sleep because I didn't want him looking at me. And I would sleep with my legs together so tight, right? I wouldn't fall asleep until everyone else in the room was asleep. I'd have to know for a fact that everybody is asleep before I could feel comfortable actually dozing off. And I would peek under the blankets in the morning to make sure that they were all still asleep before I would get up to like go to the bathroom and get ready for my day. But like on the weekends, I didn't wake up as early because I didn't have school. So I would peek before I would get out of the bed to make sure that he wasn't like somewhere nearby, like just in my space, because I didn't want to interact with him. And he knew my routine. He knew that I would peek under the blanket to get up. He sat right across from me. The bed that I'm sleeping on is here. Then there's like a coffee table and then another couch right here. So the couch is facing that bed. And he would sit on the couch while I'm laying here on purpose, whip out his dick and start playing with himself. Where was my mom when this stuff was going on? I really don't know. Like, was she in the bed, sleep, knocked out? I don't know, because we were all in the same room. Like, if they were there, they were asleep, so they weren't seeing what was happening. But if they weren't there, then somehow I was just left there on my own with this guy. I remember peeking through the blanket, seeing him do this, being in shock because I thought I was seeing things. I thought I was imagining it. Like, I didn't even know what he was holding. I was like, what is that? And then it dawned on me, oh my God, that's his penis. Oh my God, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, I can't get up. And it was like he was getting a kick out of it. Like, he thought it was so hilarious that he had this type of control over our emotions and us being able to just do things and be kids. Other really creepy thing that he would do, he would have a sketchbook where he would like draw pictures in this book, and then he would show me the pictures that he drew. I kid you not. I promise you. God, I wish I would have ripped out one of them and just like kept one so that I'd have evidence. Dude, this nigga would draw these depictions of himself in compromising, sexualized positions with a female who uncannily resembled me. In every fucking picture. Every single one. Nobody else saw this shit and was thinking, this is a little weird. Nobody? Like, my mom? Like, I feel like he showed those pictures to everyone else, too. It was like he was creating his own child porn. The things he was thinking about doing to me, he would draw. And then show them to me. And I'd be like, what do you want me to say to you? Like, good job? Like, what the fuck reaction are you trying to get out of me right now? Ew. Like, go away. And I would try to, like, pretend that I wasn't noticing that there was all these compromising positions being drawn. I think I would just comment on like, oh, that's a lot of detail. Like something like that, so that I still sounded like I was being positive and giving him a compliment, because I didn't want to start shit. But in my mind, I was like, yeah, I gotta get the fuck away from him. But that's where we're gonna end today. As far as this portion of the story, something I said triggered a memory, a question, a comment. Leave it in the comment section. Help your fellow viewers if you see people asking questions that you may have answers to that could help them. Even if they're addressing them to me, I would love if you guys would be able to help each other, that this space is an open space for anyone to talk about these issues that may affect them. Please don't be insensitive to people who are really, really affected by these kinds of things. I know some people online, they think they're joking, they're playing or whatever, but that could make the difference between whether someone actually goes and finds help or like kills themselves. So you should be very mindful about how you're joking around with people when it comes to these topics. I have a huge sense of humor. Any of you guys who know me from Broken Dolly TV and real life know I'm a complete goofball and I'm not this serious in public. So it's not like I'm just being like a negative Nancy and saying, you can't have fun here. That's not what that is. I'm just reminding you guys there's a time and a place for stuff, and this is not the place for those of you who get a kick out of just watching people squirm, say things in the comments so you can just shock people and like have attention put on yourself. No, don't do that here. Go somewhere else and do that. And if I see anything like that, I am going to remove the comment and I will report you. And that's just an all-around asshole thing to do. So don't be a fucking asshole. Life right now, and I'm getting back into doing YouTube, so I might be slow answering some of you guys back, but don't think I'm not reading the comments, though. I do read them. And that is the audience that I am kind of reaching out to, that have the time and the interest to think about these things that are hard topics for people to discuss, but not in a depressing way. I'm not talking about this stuff to be like, life is horrible and let's give up now. That's not what this is. This is for therapy, working our problems out. This is for trying to understand ourselves and why we think the way we think, do what we do, interact with people the way that we do, why we have certain fears, why we have certain anxieties, why we cannot get over certain things, why we repeat the same dysfunctional behaviors. And I am guilty of doing that myself, which I will talk about in future videos. I just want to get the story out first, go from there. Definitely, I do appreciate people interacting with me on the channel, but also interacting with each other and building that community where we can feel safe and open about talking about these things. All right, so thanks for listening, and I will catch you guys in the next video. All right, peace out, doogies.